There's no better way to program your subconscious mind than listening to positive statements over and over. And there's no better way to do that than in a semi-meditative alpha brainwave state. I've created 3 prosperity meditations on hightimelinebooks.com to help you do just that. And for a limited time, you can get all 3 for the price of 2. So take your life to a higher vibe. Check them all out at hightimelinebooks.com. Welcome to the Fun Astrology Podcast for Monday, March 10th. Thomas Miller, thanks for joining us. We begin eclipse season, boom, right now. Go. Friday morning is the kickoff. Early Friday morning, we have full moon and total lunar eclipse. We're going to focus on some of that today. And very descriptive of the energy this week are our lucky stars from Kristin Lawhead. Good morning, Kristin.
Hi, Thomas and Fun Astrology Podcast. Happy Monday. Today is a lucky day, but by tomorrow, that energy shifts to something more cautionary. And by Friday, we are into some challenging energy with some of the peak energy of eclipse season. So to find out more lucky stars days for March, join the Lucky Stars Club. Thomas and I can't wait to see you there. I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks, you too, Kristin. And she'll be back with us on Thursday to set up this eclipse. Did you notice how the tone changed through the week? Well, our keywords from Mastro's software program do the same. Crisis is the number 1 across the board for this week. Change is right underneath that, along with energy, accidents, and emotion. Now, how does some software program, how does it know that that's what we're going through collectively right now, I think? And this is where Kristin's work in Lucky Stars has been so spot on because it shows March as a challenging month. We'd love to have you in the club if you'd like to join. It's right there on the funastrology.com homepage. But between the cautionary days and the challenging days and then the Lucky Stars days, it just nailed this month's energy. So we have the eclipse coming up. I'll talk more about that on Wednesday as well. But we're also losing some of that Piscean energy, and it will never, ever, ever be back, at least not the way it was 2 weeks ago. That's why we've been capturing this in our little March Funness program. I hope you've been enjoying it, because as I mentioned, next Thursday morning, and it's early, so really it's through Wednesday day that we have the sun in Pisces. And then at the end of the month, right after the partial solar eclipse on the 29th, Neptune slides into Aries right there in that energy. And speaking of energy, we have no exact aspects in the sky overhead today. The biggest one of the week is midweek, and I'll be talking about this with you again on Wednesday. The sun conjoins Saturn. Now, that's a big deal because it's happening in Pisces, but the moon is over in Virgo. So we have that eclipse energy already building and manifesting midweek, which means we're going to be feeling it even today and tomorrow. In fact, let's just track the moon for a second because that is a big part of the energy again this week. It moved into Leo last night at about 7 o'clock. So that's what you're waking up with this morning, and boom, a bunch of aspects. And 3 of them are positive. So we have the moon in a positive aspect with Venus, which of course is in retrograde, and a positive aspect with Jupiter. So all in all, and that's why Kristin was saying today was smiling on us, mainly from those lunar aspects. So you'll be feeling that Leo self-independence moon today, but then come Wednesday morning, early, probably overnight for most of us, 4 o'clock in the morning, the moon will enter Virgo, and that's when we really start to crank up that eclipse energy. Now, a lot of you have been listening to this podcast for quite a while. You kind of know the style here is we talk about astrology as based on polarities, so we don't run from the shadows, but we always do try to emphasize the positive side of the coin. We also don't focus on the mundane or the political, but we also acknowledge it. We don't run away from that either. We've talked extensively about the big picture items. We've interviewed Ray Merriman. I've had the privilege of narrating 3 of his incredible forecast books, which predict the year ahead. Is it any real surprise when we stop and think about it? Is there any real surprise that all of the stuff going on around us, which is heavy, does not parallel the astrology? I would argue that it absolutely parallels the astrology. As above, so below, and we could basically just stop right there, except we will keep reading the signs. So let's get a game plan on for this week, energetically, all right? And some of this depends on how we are choosing to live our lives, because the polarity is sitting right there in two adjacent signs. In Pisces, we still have the connection, but not as strong as it was 2 weeks ago. This is it, gang. We are wrapping up Neptune in Pisces. So we're going to experience Neptune strong right now because it's going to hover 0 degrees Aries. So both sides of Neptune, the sides of escapism, delusion, addiction, etc., the desire to numb up and check out, or the wide open window connecting to the home office. Vivid dreams, even if you don't remember them. Really supported by the North Node, pointing us to our spiritual destiny if we will have those eyes and ears and attentiveness to the messages. And it will also be so easy to miss because those are the full-strength dual sides of Neptune. Not energy that is easy to navigate. I can tell you it is glued to my own sun. I've had to deal with this all of my life. You dance between direction and confusion. The thing right now is just stay close to the home office. Now, the other dynamic that we have to pay attention to this week in Pisces, that Sun-Saturn conjunction on Wednesday, that does put a damper on things. In a way, it will separate the serious players from the observers, yes, but in contrast to Neptune's confusion, Sun-Saturn on the positive side also makes us look at what do we really want as all of this energy moves into the area of new beginnings, new horizons, new creations. Sun, Saturn in Pisces says stop and look at this for real. Get clear in your mind before we move on in just a few precious weeks. The contrast is across that line of 0 degrees Aries, where we find Mercury and Venus in retrograde. And let us not forget the wounded healer making its way through Aries, good old Chiron. We'll have a better look at this Aries energy as the sun moves in there, like I said, midweek next week, but at least we'll start to get a feeling for it now. So as we collectively move toward a full moon on Friday, I'm concerned that the collective, the mundane, may not know how to handle that contrast. For you and me this week, we're going to stay grounded a little more on the Pisces side of the line. On the one hand, we're ready for that new beginning. But hold on, the energy of this week, as we've heard, is caution, crisis, etc. So we have to hold the space. And the best way to do that is to keep our spiritual grounding primary. And because the energy has not fully shifted over into Aries yet, we will stay grounded in our spiritual practice and don't let the noise distract you. I hope you have a wonderful week. We have a great week of podcasts ahead. I'll be back with you on Wednesday, sending you all kinds of love, staying grounded, staying firmly focused, which is not a Piscean thing to do. So stretch it a little bit and we can all pull it off.